Hello guys and girls, Screezilla here, and I hope you're all well, and welcome to World of Warships. Oh, sorry, a little bit of an update for you, and we'll do a game as well, a live game, but the Pan-Asia line has been released for World of Warships. Now, what's the Pan-Asia line? Well, it's basically a amalgamation of all the different destroyers from, and ships from the Asia Pacific region. So China, Thailand, Singapore, Vietnam, anywhere like that. So lots of different, Korea, that's the one I was looking for. So lots of different boats basically from different areas of the Asian continent. Now, of course, we got Japan, but Japan had a very big shipping line. You know, they had lots of different ships. They had enough to fill out everything for themselves. Whereas Pan-Asia is sort of, well, they didn't have many of their own ships. They tended to buy a lot of ships. For instance, the first ship you get, the Chengao, is a Japanese, small Japanese gunboat classified as a cruiser. But it was made for the Japanese Navy, and she was given to China. The Longyang is a German ship. So it was designed by the Germans. So as you see, it's got that sort of distinct German sort of destroyer look. It doesn't have the front-facing torpedo tubes, or the V-shaped torpedo tubes, like the normal German destroyer line, or front-facing torpedoes at that. But it has that sort of gun capability. Next up, we've got the Farang, British destroyer. Now, the really cool thing about this sort of update is it gives us a bit of a look at some of the British destroyers that we will get in the future. So this is an R-class destroyer. I think actually my granddad served on an R-class. It was either an R-class or a B... No, I think it was an R-class. Small destroyer. Okay guns, 102mm guns, torpedoes, general design, British destroyer. But it was given to I think the Chinese Navy, was it? I wasn't looking, wasn't reading. No, the Thai Navy, so Thailand this one's from. Next we have the Shenyang, former Japanese destroyer, so Minakaze, was the Minakaze, wasn't it? The Minakaze class, so similar to the Japanese destroyer, slow guns, poor guns, but good torpedoes, blah blah blah. Now they do have some different features to them from their original host countries as well, and that's the torpedoes. I'll talk about them after I've gone through all the boats though. Next we have the Jwan, the Jwi, Yanwei, sorry, there we go, I'll get there eventually, I have terrible pronunciation. Again, British destroyer. Given to China basically. So this is the British type destroyer. Good artillery, not so great torpedoes, maneuverability, speed. This is like the Typhoon, I think, that we had in game a while back for the Dunkirk gameplay. Trying to think of it. But you can see the triple mount torpedo tubes on top of each other there. So again, a little bit different. Next we have the Fushan, Soviet destroyer based on the Navy class, given to China. So it's a Chinese boat, but Russian destroyer. So again, good guns. It's more of a gunboat to a torpedo boat. Typical Russian destroyer. The Gajah Mada, N-class destroyer from Britain, was actually given to the Netherlands, and then it made its way to Indonesia. So again, good cannons on it. It's got the twin gun turrets to it. It's. I think this is off the similar to the tribal class destroyers off the top of my head. It's that sort of design. I'm trying to think my different classes, but good artillery, blah blah blah. The Hsiang, um, Gleaves class destroyer from the US Navy, given to China. So you know, again, the Gleaves class is a Fletcher, I think. It's work off the Fletcher or the... No, not the Fletcher. The one... Man. I think it's a man. The Man. The Chungma is the Tier 10, and that's a Fletcher, basically. And that was the Korean Navy vessel. So, the good thing is it gives World of Warships a chance to add boats that normally they couldn't add in. You could probably add a Chinese Navy line without too much problem. But China didn't really have any battleships, and, you know, there wasn't much in that way of dreadnoughts and stuff like that. However, around that area, then you might find a few oddities. I'm trying to think if there was any dreadnoughts in any of those countries, but it's not coming to my mind at the moment. Anyway, the big thing, though, for these destroyers is they have what's called a deep water torpedo. What's a deep water torpedo, I hear you asking? Well, it hits ships that are a capital ship class, so a cruiser, battleship, or an aircraft carrier. However, they don't hit destroyers. What a deep water torpedo does is it goes deeper in the water. So let's just have a look at the Warspite here. Big old ship. Of course, it's got quite a bit of ship underneath the water. So let's just look at our armour layer. So as you see, we've got the armour goes all the way down here. We've got a torpedo bulge, of course, as low as possible to help with that. But down here is where all the critical things are. Let's just turn off that armour. So you've got the Citadel. So you've got a Citadel torpedo bulkhead as well to protect from purely those torpedoes, and then you've got your actual Citadel armour itself. So 150 millimeters, so about 153 millimeters of armour for the Citadel. You know, just to make it as strong as possible so things can't get through there, and it's got the bulge to help with flooding and all that sort of stuff. But a deep water torpedo will make a big hole in this area, which will cause a lot of flooding damage, and that's what they're good for flooding ships. A cruiser, for instance. Now, a cruiser, if we just switch the armour back on, they don't have torpedo bulges. Well, they do, but they're not very strong. You know, there's a little bit of a torpedo bulge on some cruisers, but it's not quite as thick. You know, the armour is a lot thinner below the waterline because nothing other than a torpedo is going to hit below the waterline, really. Generally, armour-piercing shells, if they go into the water, they fragment and don't cause as much damage. So, a deep-water torpedo on a cruiser will be absolutely devastating, and on an aircraft carrier, it will pretty much annihilate it. But when you come to a destroyer, let's have a look at the Campbelltown here, you can see it doesn't sit as low in the water, so a deep water torpedo is just going to go straight underneath it. And that's really what it is. So you can't take on destroyers. Well, the only way to take on destroyers in the Pan-Asia class is with another destroyer. And the only way to take on a destroyer in the Pan-Asia class is with your guns, and that can be pretty tricky sometimes, because some of them are a little bit undergunned, sort of the Japanese variants, things like that. The American, the Russian, and the British variants have got quite strong guns to them, so it does help a bit. But of course, those torpedoes are just going to sail straight underneath you, whereas the destroyer, on the opposite side, if it's any other destroyer from any other nation, those torpedoes are just going to go bush straight into you and kill you straight away. So you don't want to get into a close fight with another destroyer in them. So let's take out the Tier 1 cruiser. Let's just get the modified gun system here. We want to have the good guns on her. Let's see. upgrades. Let's see what upgrades we should do. Ooh, we won't worry about upgrades. We won't worry about upgrades. Exterior. Let's put a magazine risk detonation on there. Put the speed up a bit. What have I got lots of? We don't need a liquidator. We won't worry about anything else really. Be a bit overkill if we do that. But we will go for the glorious British flag from the Perth, which I no longer own. Yeah, I got rid of the Perth in favour of the Warspite, just because the changes to the what am I talking about? Changes to the thing. To smoke detection. I found it really affected the Perth. And let's pop some fancy dazzle, not armour, some dazzle camouflage on her. Alrighty. So, this beast, survivability of 4,900 hit points. Armour. It has armour. It has 13mm of armour around the citadel. It has 6mm of armour in general. It has 2 guns. And it has some anti-aircraft defense, which is really useful at low tier, because you don't get any anti-aircraft type. So your main batteries are 127mm guns, with a range of 8.5 kilometers. And you've got useless AA guns, which will never get used because, well, you're at the lowest tier, there aren't planes at the lowest tier. Decent concealment though, so it's kind of like a little little destroyer. It basically is a gunboat. This really is not a cruiser, this is a corvette. In all honesty, this would be classed as a corvette. It's way too small to be a real cruiser. But yeah, let's take her out to a battle and see how it goes. The amount of destroyers is redonkulous. Yeah, it's pretty hilarious, really. You jump into a game at low tier at the moment, and it is just all Pan-Asian destroyers, and you get a couple of SEAL clubbers in different nations, just because you can just sit there, launch torpedoes out. Everybody's focused, you know, thinking, oh, these torpedoes aren't going to hit me, and then all of a sudden, boom, they get blown out of the water. Now, the deep water torpedoes, are they any good? Well, in all honesty, I don't think they're that much better than standard torpedoes from what I've seen. I got hit by one earlier on, and really didn't do much more damage than a normal torpedo would. I think they're going to get a buff, because they need one, I think, because the damage they cause isn't that great. I think they've got a 100% chance of flooding, though, or something like that. They've got a very high flooding chance, which is useful, I guess. But, yeah, they're not very good. And as I say, the drawbacks of not being able to torpedo other destroyers really removes some of the benefits. One of the big benefits, though, is the smoke on these destroyers. They have a lot of smoke. The Pan-Asia line is smoke heavy. Basically, I think the recharge on the premium is something like 30 seconds. On the non-premium, it's 60 seconds. And you have a ton of charges. You have so many charges of smoke, it's ridiculous. So that's kind of a good thing. You can really use the smoke to your advantage. I honestly think they're better played as like an American destroyer or Russian destroyer. You know, not relying on those torpedoes as much, more reliant on things like there's 23 players within my range. Of course, they're probably slightly too high. being tier 1 though, you would think they would just be tier 1 ships as well. I don't understand that. But yeah, I think it's going to be a more gunboat heavy focus. They're pretty sneaky as well, which is good. Their detection range is pretty good, so you can sneak around with them pretty well. They've got low detection ranges. Yeah, they seem alright from what I've seen from testers and things like that. They seem interesting, at least. Another big change has actually been for the American aircraft carriers. Hooray, we've got a game. American aircraft carriers have now got access to the armor-piercing bombs. It's no longer behind a paywall. Don't have to buy the USS Enterprise to get it. So, as you see here, we've got a lot of Chengs. And, well, the Black Swan's probably the only thing that's slightly better than it. The Orland's got better maneuverability, but I prefer to have a little bit more health than maneuverability. So it looks like it's not going to be too bad. Let's get this started. Let's fail at this miserably. I'll probably get Citadel straight away or something stupid like that. I do have depth charges as well, which is handy. Of course, no use for depth charges in this game. It's quite a pretty little boat, though. It's a nice little gunboat. If you are a fan of my War Thunder videos, you'll know that I'm doing the naval testing in that. And this style of cruiser, you see there the Erie. The Erie does have more guns, of course, but only 4 guns, really. They're sort of just glorified gunboats, really. What have we got? There's the Black Swan over there as well, for instance. You know, they're very small cruisers. They're very light cruisers. They're just they're not what you would call a cruiser in normal sense. They're sort of, as I say, that Corvette sort of style of ship. This style of light cruiser Corvette style ship would be perfect for War Thunder, for the naval aspect, because they're just the right size. They're not too big, they're manoeuvrable, they're fast, you know. They would be a bit bigger than the destroyers, they'd have a bit more firepower because they've got some bigger guns on board usually. You know, light cruisers I think are the way forward for it. Anyway, I won't talk too much more about that because I know that fans of one game are not always fans of both games, unfortunately, so you tend to have a bit of a disparity between the two of us. So, yeah, we've got some interesting boats now. So as I say, having these new cruisers in game is quite cool. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing the Pan Asia line in full action at some stage. Let's wait here for an ambush. I reckon this guy... Well, let's see where he goes. I wonder if he's going to come around there. Seems to be running this way, so hopefully he'll run this way and we can get our guns on bear for him. With our amazing HE shells. There he is. Whereabouts are you? Which way are you going? No, we're not going to get a hit on him. He's turning away and running like the coward that he is. So these HE shells, okay damage, I suppose. But as I say, it's tier 1. You can't really expect much at this lower tier. There's not really much you can do. It's kind of just for fun more than anything else. So yeah, so having that Pan Asian line is good. As I said, having the AP bombs for the American destroyers, that's the word I was looking for. Not American destroyers, American aircraft carriers is good. Because it's really going to help them out. I reckon those are going to be a bit short, so we'll just change our aim a little bit. But we should be on target here. Oh, I was aiming at the sinking guy. Oopsie doodle. So yeah, having some AP bombs on there is really going to help out quite a lot. The AP bombs, of course, do a lot more damage than the standard bombs. Somebody just got detonated. So yeah, AP bombs will be quite good. You may remember that the Graf Zeppelin had armor-piercing bombs. No, Graf Zeppelin had deep-water torpedoes. What am I talking about? So yeah, so the Enterprise was formerly the only one with those armor-piercing capable bombs on before, so it was behind a paywall almost, which it's not great to have that. I mean, ideally you don't want to put things behind a paywall, especially if it's beneficial. My gun's desynchronized at the moment. There we go, managed to catch fire to that guy. Oh, we've got a Citadel as well. Nice work, guns. Another Citadel. Keep slightly angled to this guy. I think we're getting quite a lot of shots coming in from the front there, so got a bit of a bad predicament here. But we'll soldier on. Try and get some shots in on this Orlan. Got a Citadel there, that's good. Needed that Citadel, but we're not going too well right at the moment. I shouldn't have used my damage control then, I'd made a mistake. If I catch fire, I'm absolutely buggered right now. Okay. So let's get in the cap circle. So there's 4 guys left. We know that that one guy's low on health, but so are we. We've got 10 seconds on our damage control party. Hopefully we'll get some support here. And they're capping and we're capping. Should be around here somewhere, I reckon. Hopefully though he's run off to try and save their cap. No, we've been detected. Hopefully these will be on target. Good shots on target. Those won't be. Less detection range than us, but we are firing. Could really have used with a fire there. Oh well, hopefully these will hit. We'll go fire and he's dead. Oh, okay. Jolly good show. Okay, we've got this. This is a win for the good guys now, hopefully. As long as our team manages to shoot the enemy, or we get some more people in the cap circle. It'll be a close one. Of course, being at this lower tier than most people are pretty new to the game. So we are we won't be able to get shots off over that hill there, unfortunately. Shoot her! Just imagine Jurassic Park right now. And they've managed to kill that guy, and looks like we are gonna lose. Are we? No, I think we've got this. So, oh, it's so tense, isn't it? So tense. Ah, so close. So close. But a defeat. Thought that one had actually managed to hit them. I was looking at the wrong bar. But yeah, that's the Chengyang. So let's see how we did. We did okay there. We didn't get any kills. Not surprising. A few very experienced players there. Did worse than me as well, actually, which is good to see. But yeah, the Chengyang. An interesting little boat, to say the least. As I said, this is really just the starter boat for the Pan Asia line. It's not anything special. But if you want to go seal clubbing and just have a little bit of fun, it can be useful. The main thing is those later ships down the line, like the Longjiang and things like that. And as I said, at this stage of the day, there are about 1 million of these ships in games, much like when any new tech tree is released. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, subscribe, let me know if you found it interesting, and I will catch you again next time. Alright then, catch you later. Toodle pip, bye bye.